After your clay piece has been fired one time, it's ready to have glaze added to it. So now it is no longer clay, it is now ceramic. So it was hardened by heat. You're going to notice that the texture is a little bit more different, hard, kind of like glass, and it's more bright white in color instead of kind of a gray color. Remember, these are very, very fragile, so be extra careful when you're handling them, and please do not handle other students' artwork. I have prepared glazes in little cups for you. You will take one of each color to your table, so you'll have all three primary colors. Be extra careful when you're handling these because the lids aren't extremely secure, so we have to hold on to them kind of with the belly instead of the very top so we don't accidentally drop them and spill them. And when you return them to the box, the same thing. Make sure they are upright and not tipped over so they're not leaking anywhere. I also have souffle cups too, so they're a little bit smaller, and those are okay to stack. If you choose to mix, you can use a little palette. You may take up to 2 to your table to use, and remember, there's lots of little wells so you can easily share them. When you apply glaze, make sure your brush is very, very clean before you dip into any of the colors. If we mix these, they will be mixed for everyone, and I cannot throw them away because glaze is very, very expensive. So we have to treat it with a lot of extra care, even more care than paint. So you're gonna dip into it, and you'll notice it's sort of like paint, but maybe a little bit thicker. And when you apply it, you're going to kind of gently paint it on. You're going to notice it goes starts to soak in and dry rather quickly. So you're kind of going in one motion. We're not scrubbing back and forth because that just scrapes the glaze off. So you can really see the brush strokes right now. That's okay. You want to try to get approximately 3 layers of glaze on there. So very, very gently go in and add your layer of glaze. When the kind of shininess has gone away, then you are ready to add another layer. So right now we can see that this right here is nice and dry, and this is still a little bit wet. So I'm just waiting a little bit longer before I apply more. And a reminder, remember when we first talked about clay, how we cannot glaze the bottom. So when we're adding glaze, we have to make sure that we're not glazing anywhere that it would touch the table. So it's kind of helpful to add the glaze with it on the table so you can almost like create that line of where it would be touching the table. And then if you need to, after that, you could pick it up to finish glazing. So I'll do that and I'll show you what I mean. So I turned it and glazed it, and now I kind of have almost a line where my glaze should stop so I don't accidentally glaze the bottom. If you do glaze the bottom, the chances of it sticking to the kiln shelf and breaking become extra high, so we really must follow this expectation so that our piece safely makes it through the kiln. If you decide you don't want to mix and you want to just layer colors to see what kind of effect you get, that's okay too. So I have red in there right here one time, and I did a coat around the outside twice with red right now. So I made sure my brush was really, really clean and dry because I don't want to add extra water to the glaze. And I'm going to take and do the same thing where I gently apply the glaze inside of here and add a coat on top of the red to see what happens when it goes through the kiln. If you'd like to mix instead, this is what you can do. So right now I have blue on my brush, so I'm going to get a pretty good sized scoop of blue and sort of twist it off into a cup here, or a well here. And then I'm going to rinse really, really good, just like you would with paint, and make sure it's nice and dry. And then I'm going to grab a scoop of the red, and I'm being careful not to accidentally touch my brush in there so I don't get blue on my brush. So when I'm happy with the amount, I'm going to gently stir. And right now it's not going to look very, very dark, but we'll notice the difference after it is fired. That's the cool part about glaze, is that we don't always know what we're gonna get, so it's like a little surprise. So now you can see I have purple. And then you do the same thing and you just gently apply it. So we're going to add 2 to 3 layers depending on the time you have for glazing, and then carefully place this back in the box so that they can be fired again, and then we will get to see our surprise in a couple weeks when they're all done. As you're putting your piece away, if you do notice there's glaze on the bottom, no big deal, it's an easy fix. You can just take a wet paper towel and wipe it off. If it's slightly stained, that's okay, but we want to get the majority of it off, because that's where we run into problems. So just wet paper towel will fix it up for you.